Good evening, friends. Today we are going to learn a beautiful topic called speech, direct and indirect speech. So, generally, what is the word meaning of speech? Speech is nothing but language. A person who wants to learn a language has to know what are its means. First of all, there are two means of language. They are called direct and indirect. Usually, we feel very difficult in learning the topic about speech. And first of all, let us see what is a direct speech. Actual words of the speaker. Then what do we call indirect speech? Repeated words are called speech. This is only the same thing, a small technique that we need to learn before concentrating on what is direct speech and what is indirect speech. And most probably, my dear friends, I am just today explaining the complete topic only in details. I am not using word, but at the same time, I am explaining the complete topic in a oral method. First of all, my dear friends, and today the topic that I am going to explain or teach you really is going to touch you. So, what is the impact of this grammar topic, speech? First of all, the actual words of the speaker is called direct speech. So automatically, who are the direct persons? I, we, you. So we are not much bothered about the direct speech, but we usually have to bother about what is indirect speech. Then it is called reported speech. So therefore, we have to only reflect about what is a reported speech. Okay, so the reported speech, it is, in other words, it is called indirect speech. The repeated words of someone is called indirect speech or reported speech. Usually here we have a reporter and a reported statement and a listener. By the combination of these three aspects, it is called to be a reported speech. Totally, my dear friends, reported speech always takes place based on events, incidents, conversation, and communication. And whenever we have conversation, communication, events, and incidents, then automatically it is deadly required indirect speech or reported speech, because the involvement of the third person or the involvement of someone when enter into the communication, then it is called to be reported speech. I think so. It is very clear to everybody. And most probably, my dear friends, reported speech usually used only at the time of conveying something. So, in the name of indirect way, who are the indirect persons? He, she, it, they. They are called to be indirect persons. So, generally, when we are going to change the actual words into someone words, then they are called indirect words or in report. A report, it is called a report. So, usually, why do we change direct to indirect? So this is the biggest question that everybody really think about or reflect about. And first of all, when we go to indirect speech, from direct to indirect, so direct will never have any effect, but indirect statements or indirect words or a report will be having its own importance. So we are taking the words of the other people into consideration. So the process itself is called to be indirect speech or reported speech. Okay, usually, so these changes takes place at the time of uh, interrogation, at the time of statement, at the time of demanding or commanding, or at the time of excitements, and at the time of even what we can say, uh, thanking somebody. So automatically this is the original process of the complete speech. And if at all, if you don't aware of all these things, so then automatically we will be in utmost confusion. Okay, and generally what are the important parts that are going to take place? Usually we know that there are five sentences that are deadly need to have a transformation from direct to indirect. What are they? Assertive sentence, imperative sentence, interrogative sentence, exclamatory sentence, and optative sentences. So generally, my dear children, when we go based on sentences, for example, assertive sentence. Assertive sentence is classified into two types. What are they? Affirmative sentence, negative sentence. Affirmative sentence and negative sentence. For example, I am happy, I am not happy. So this is called, he said, I am happy. He said that he was not happy. He said, I am not happy. He said that he was not happy. So these are the two modes of sentences that we come from the declaration. So then when we go for so-called imperative sentences, imperative sentences are completely based on mode. So there are many modes, professionally or situationally. For example, he says, do it. He says, to do that. He says, please do it. He requests to do that. He asks, kindly do that. He really appealed to do that well. So these are the things that we need to mind while writing the imperative parts in speech. And more or less professionally, for example, doctor says, take the medicine. Doctor prescribed to consume the medicine regularly. So teacher said, study well. Teacher taught us to study well. So lawyer said, say the truth. Lawyer witnessed to speak the truth. So likewise, my dear friends, we need to be very clear regarding according to the mood of imperatives. Then we go for interrogative. So usually interrogatives are also uh, based on two types, or it is classified into two types. What are they? Agreemental questions and informational questions. Agreemental questions also called yes or no questions, and informational questions are called WH form questions. So here we have something that we need to remember. So while we are learning agreemental questions, we have to use conjunction. What is the conjunction? So usually if or whether, if or whether. If not, we can go. So suppose if should be used at the time of condition. For example, he says, "Are you fine?" He asks whether I was. He asks whether I am fine or not. For example, he said, uh, "Do you do it well?" He asked whether I could do it, whether I did well or not. So likewise, my dear friends, from the part of agreemental questions, we are going to use if and whether. But if at all, if we go for informational questions, we need to take only the WH forms as a conjunctions. For example, he said, "Who are you?" He asked who I was. As it is. So this is the thing that we need to really and clearly understand from the part of interrogation. So when we go for exclamations, so my dear friends, here it is very simple. Here we are going to have a two types, mild exclamations and strong exclamations. I want to just tell you the difference. What are the mild and what are the strong exclamations? Strong exclamations usually what and how. For example, he said, "What a beautiful it is." He exclaimed that it was so beautiful. For example, he said, "Wow, we won the match." He exclaimed happily that they had won the match. So this is the beautiful thing we have to learn from the part of exclamations. But at the same time, there are optative sentences. which are deadly really important. For example, optative sentences are nothing but an expressions, only expressions which we use as a daily basis. For example, he said good morning. He wished good morning. Suppose he said thank you. He thanked. So all these things that come under optative sentences. So my dear friends, today I have given you the simple rules that could be really based on the formation of sentences. And I want to just tell you changes. What are the important changes that we are going to, or what are the important topics that are going to be really used in the topic of speech? For example, you see pronouns, you see verbs, you see adjectives, you see adverbs, and you see tenses. So, and more than all these topics, verb is the very crucial, which plays a vital role in speech. And the total speech is completely based on the verbal formation. So therefore, without knowing what type of verb it is or what is the role of verb, it is highly impossible to go for the changes or changing or the transforming the sentences from direct to indirect. At the same time, my dear, pronouns. We know that what type of pronouns, how that the direct pronouns to indirect pronouns. Then adjectives. There are a few adjectives that are also going to be changed. Then adverbs. What are the adverbs? Here and there, and we can say today and that day, tomorrow, next day. All these things are called so-called adverbs. Then go for tenses. Simple present to simple past, past continuous to past perfect continuous, or present continuous to past continuous, present perfect to past perfect. Likewise, we have a little changes, but everybody will question. Simple future will become the future condition. Future condition. So this is what, my dear children. So you have to be very clear about. And if at all, if you want to know, so there are changes. How that they are going to change. So will be really taught to you. So therefore, and I want to just give you the basic information about this speech totally. And if at all, if you want to really have a clarity about the complete formation of speech, so I have many rules to teach you. But the thing is that one, I hope and believe that it will be really useful and helpful to you, because only the basic information that I have shared regarding so-called this direct and indirect speech. And if at all, if there is any possibility, it will be taught to you on board in detail everything. So till then, I will be really thankful each and everyone for supporting me. And this is nothing but Vijay Khan, teacher of English. So like to really post like this small clippings in favor of all my students and my friends. Thank you one and all. Thank you so much. See you later.